Hare Krishna. Welcome back to the second and the final session of our mantra meditation course. So yesterday we discussed a lot of fundamental concepts of meditation, the body, mind and soul connection. We understood a few concepts about the 4 layers of sound. And if you remember yesterday, we introduced the main theme of our course, which is how there are these 3 stages of mantra meditation, starting with physical alignment, which is the process of chanting, which is producing the mantra. Then mental alignment, the process where we are actually hearing the mantra. And finally, the soul or heart alignment, where we are trying to offer our prayers to Krishna. So yesterday we saw the theme on the physical alignment, the chanting aspect. So today we are going to continue with the hearing and the praying aspect. So let's begin with our traditional prayers. So joining your palms together. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So let's begin our session. Let me very quickly set up the whiteboard. Okay. So we begin session number 2 of our mantra meditation course. So as I mentioned yesterday, that we're going to take up this course in these 3 aspects. So today we'll try to focus more on getting the second stage of our meditation aspect, which is the hearing aspect, right? And I'll very quickly talk about the 4 levels of sound that we spoke about, just for just a brief recall for somebody who is joining us for the first time, perhaps today. So we spoke about these 4 levels of sound, which we called as Vaikari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. So Vaikari is the stage where we actually verbalize. Like yesterday, how we actually verbalized the mantra, the sounds. So we spoke about the proper pronunciation. We spoke about the proper posture that will help, right? We spoke about that aspect where you're actually producing the sound. Second, madhyama is a stage where the same sound is there as a in a mental state. We'll use the word mental sound, right? Or and in Pashyanti is where still it is in a, it's in a very abstract state, right? It's abstract sound, and para is the spiritual sound, right? So if uh, this is the state where we will try to connect the sound with the intention behind that sound. We're going to talk about that during the prayers section, right? So today we're actually going to while the producing of the sound is mostly happening on our physical level, we are going to now do some exercises to improve the quality of our hearing, right? And and specifically we are going to do a lot of exercises. In fact, I'm going to ask you all, if you all have your earphones or some loudspeakers around you, right? So please make sure that you are able to hear the audio that will be played today, right? And I'll also ask you to share some reflections in the chat box. So probably you may want to keep your chat box also very active, right? So what is the problem when we are trying to involve in mantra meditation? Many times we are very good at producing the sound, but as we want to take it deeper, a stage has to come where the sound is while it is being produced by the vocal cords, your awareness as the meditator slowly has to shift from your vocal cords to your ears, right? Many times a lot of effort actually goes in producing the sound, and you as a person who's producing the sound, or the person who's involved in meditation, a lot of your awareness goes in just producing the sound. But we are just trying to go one level deeper now, while a part of you is also producing that sound where the chanting process is happening. You also now try to connect one level deeper, where slowly you shift your awareness to your ears and just try to focus on what sound you're producing, right? So, and that is where your chanting will slowly progress from the or your meditation, mantra meditation, progress from the chanting stage to the hearing stage. And you may think, oh, I hear, I'm not deaf, right? Well, in fact, we're going to do some exercises to show that how deaf we really are. Many times we're just not paying attention. Hearing is not just hearing with the ears, but hearing with your mind, right? Because the senses are anyway going to hear, but the input which the senses are giving need to be accepted and processed by the mind. That is real hearing. And many times, because the nature of the mind to turn inwards or to keep fluctuating, to keep wandering, even though the senses are hearing, the mind does not hear. And therefore, when we said shifting our awareness from chanting to hearing, we are basically strengthening or empowering our mind to go deeper in the hearing process. That's what is the second stage in the mantra meditation process, right? And in order to do that, I would like all of you to do some exercises now. So try to be in a very nice, relaxed posture and focus, or even close your eyes. In fact, that would be even better, right? Try to be in a nice, relaxed posture. Close your eyes and just try to focus on the ambient sounds around you in the room. Close your eyes. Just focus on the ambient sounds around you. Now try to focus on the sound that is closest to you. Even though your mind is trying to catch some other sounds, gently bring the mind back to the sound that is closest to you. Now try to focus on the sound which is farthest away from you, the most distant sound. You have to really steer your mind past this closest sound and go all the way far, literally zooming in your ears onto that distant sound. Focus exclusively on the distant sound. The distant sound can also be sometimes loud or sometimes very soft, but still focus on it. Now try to focus on some very high pitched sounds around you, which have a very high frequency. It could be the sound of some distant machine, or some cricket buzzing in the background, insect buzzing in the background. Keep your awareness only on that sound. Do not get distracted by the other sounds. Now try to focus on some low frequency sounds. Maybe the compressor of the air conditioner, or some other machine in the background. just focus on some low frequency sounds, low pitch sounds. Try to keep your awareness steady on this low pitch sound. Now try to focus your awareness on some rhythmic sounds, on some patterns, like maybe a clock ticking in the background, or perhaps the fan rotating. Just focus on some rhythmic sounds. Okay, let's come back to the class. So I would like to hear your views on the chat box. If how many of you could hear very clearly the closest sound that was next to you? So maybe you can just, just put a message yes in the chat box if you could hear the closest sound, right? Maybe if you could also mention what was that closest sound. If you'd like to mention, you can also mention what was the closest sound. Somebody said sound of the fan, a clock ticking, my heart beating. Interesting. A clock. Nice. And how many of you could focus on some distant sounds, right? Maybe you could write distant dash whatever that sound that you heard. What was the distant sound that you heard? Were you able to focus on that? Okay, somebody heard an aeroplane sound. Wow, very nice. Yeah, living in a remote location, I couldn't imagine that. Yes, there are airplanes in cities. Okay, somebody could hear water running in the kitchen. Okay, a car. Somebody could hear TV sound from a distant room. Kids voice from a park. Distant bells of a temple. Nice. Okay, very nice. Right? How many of you could actually focus on the most quietest sound, the most silent sound? What was that silent sound? Maybe you can write silent dash something, and if somebody could hear their breath. Nice. Okay, night insects. Usually night insects are quite loud, Sandeep ji, but yeah. Okay, somebody could hear their breath. So you could actually hear your own breath. In fact, we're going to do an exercise later based on that as well. Tabuji could actually hear her own ears ringing. Nice, interesting. We're going to do that exercise as well. Okay. Pranath Das Pro writes that how vehicles on the road which are not honking. Okay. Wow. Right. So yes, wonderful. You all had a very engaging hearing experience. Now, how often, ask yourself this question, how often do we actually focus on these sounds, right? Perhaps many of you would have become conscious of these sounds now that we actually did this exercise. It's like this background noise that you never actually pay attention to, right? So, right. So hardly, somebody says, sometimes we hear them, but not often. So this is a very powerful exercise you could actually do on a regular basis to enhance your mind and ears connection, right? So to just focusing on ambient sound, especially the distant sound, the quietest sounds, right? So yeah, it's a kind of a pratyahar exercise, as Vivek ji writes, yeah, where you're kind of course, pratyahar is more of where you are turning inwards and disconnecting from sounds, right? But it's a kind of a more of a focus exercise that we just did now, right? Okay, so now uh, I will I will do I'll play another music from my laptop, and as I'm playing this music, I want you to specifically focus on the sound of the kartals. The symbols, right? That in the so the kirtan has many sounds going on, many instruments being played, but I want you to just keep your ears focused only on the sound of the kartal. So if you have earphones or headphones, please plug them in now, right? So let me just share my screen to this app and share sound. All right. So just focus on the sound of the kartals, the symbols. Do not worry about the tune, just focus on the sound of the kartals. So here, don't focus on the mantra, focus on the kartals. Try to hear every single beat of the kartal. Maybe there are multiple kartals being played. Focus on both of them, all of them. Now shift your attention to the mridanga, the drum being played. hear every single beat of the drum. All right. Okay, back to your chat box. So was it easy? How many of you could actually hear how there were two sets of kartals being played? Were you able to discriminate the sounds between both the sets of kartals? Okay. Okay, somebody said, oh, kartal was very, very difficult to follow. They could hear only one at a time. In fact, at one point, one kartal player stopped while the other one was still continuing. The one closer to the mic, the recording mic, was stopped. The distant one was still playing, right? When it started in the middle, yes, exactly. It was difficult to focus a kartal sound because very fast. How about the mridanga? Somebody mentioned that it was easy to focus on the mridanga sound. The drums took me tapping myself. Yes. So you would actually follow the focus only on the drum. Drum was easier, many of you are saying. Okay. The mridanga was very beautiful. Nice. Right? How many of you, and this is applicable now, how many of you got distracted by the mantra? Usually we get distracted away from the mantra. How many of you actually got distracted by the mantra where you ended up starting, singing with the tune, moving your body with the tune, and forgot, oh, I'm supposed to hear the kartal or the mridanga. The tune was really nice. Exactly. I picked up this very catchy tune. Yeah. Somebody saying, oh, I actually chanted. I started singing, right? But you are not supposed to focus on the mantra, but supposed to focus on these instruments. Yeah. Okay, good. Very nice. Right. So this is another exercise that you can do. Sometimes you can actually just walk into a crowded place where a lot of people are talking and just try to focus on just one person's speech, one person's voice, and just see if maybe amidst all these other noises, just like how sometimes we do it with our eyes, our ears have much stronger capacity, right? Sometimes amidst so many other things, you can put your gaze exclusively on one object. Like when we do tratak, when you do any kind of gazing meditation, we keep our eyes, we prevent our eyes from getting distracted from other sides, and we focus exclusively on one object. Likewise, even with your ears, start practicing this, where amid so many other sounds, pick one sound and say, I'm going to tune into only this particular sound. I'll not let any other distractions come. Right. So this is another exercise that you can do. Right. Okay, let's do one more exercise. Mind you, all these exercises we are doing are still at the Vaikari level. We still haven't gone to a deeper stage yet. Right. So here's another exercise where you can do anytime, and one of my personal favorites. Take your fingers and close your ears. But before you close, I'll finish the instructions, so then you can close your ears. Close your ears and start hearing the various sounds in your body. Maybe the sound of your heartbeat, the sound of your breath, Maybe you can even move your body. See if you can hear some bones click, or grind your teeth. Grind your teeth and see if you can hear that grinding of your teeth, right? So close your ears. If you have earplugs, good. Or if you want, just put your fingers in your ear, close your ears, and let's do that for a good couple of minutes, right? So let's close our ears now and just focus on the sounds of your body. Move your hands and see any sounds that you're hearing because of that. Try to see if you can actually hear your heartbeat. Release your hands from your ears. All right. So let me know what you could hear in your body. You can please type in the chat box what you could hear in your body. It felt like air is blowing inside the ears. Yes, that's what we hear. Yes, good. That's the Akasha effect that you're hearing, which is there in your ears. Could any of you hear your own breath? Yes, actually flowing blood. Yeah, that sound is actually the blood flowing. Yes, breath, breathing sounds. I could hear my gulps. Yes, very good. Yeah. And when you started grinding your teeth, did you hear how loud your grinding of teeth can be? Yes. Okay. Could you hear your own heartbeat? Okay. No heartbeat for, okay, no problem. Yeah. So you also need to find a more sense of calmness. In fact, sometimes you don't even have to close your ears. When you're really calm, all you need to do is sit down with your back straight. You can actually start feeling your heartbeat. In fact, when you go very deep in your meditation, even the beating of your heart becomes a disturbance. You can actually feel a movement in your body because of the heartbeat. That happens at a very, very deep state of meditation. But yes, that's not a problem, right? Okay. So as you can see here, we tried practicing the various physical uh, levels of sound, the Vaikari levels of sound. Now let's try to go one level deeper. We'll try to go to the Madhyama level. Again, now you remember the Kirtan that we heard earlier. Close your eyes and try to see if you can hum that tune, if you can recall that tune. So when I say recall, you don't sing that tune in the head, but see if you can actually recall that singer, the way the singer was singing. Or whatever sounds from the kirtan you could hear. Nice. Keep typing in the chat box if you can hear the kirtan. It's resounding in my ears, somebody writes. Tabuji writes, yes. Pranath Prabhu confirms, yes, he's able to recall in, right? Is it like, sometimes literally the word resounding, it's like echoing, it's reverberating in you. The after effect is there. After you hear a very nice loud kirtan, the effect is there. It is still ringing in your ears. Even though you want to go somewhere else, even the kirtan has stopped, the effect is still there, right? So this is the sound of the mind that I spoke about. That is also a sound. This is the direct experience of that madhyama sound that we spoke about yesterday, right? Uh, let's do another exercise now. I'm going to read a section. Okay, maybe we'll do another exercise before that. Have a conversation with yourself. Again, close your eyes and have a distraction-free conversation with yourself. Right? So any topic, just talk to yourself and have a not like how I'm speaking now, right? You have an internal conversation with yourself. Call yourself by your name very lovingly. Talk to yourself. Okay, so let me know what happened when you tried having a conversation with yourself. Did the closest and the loudest sound that we recalled earlier, did that distract you? Like when I tried doing it, my neighbors just started their kirtan. So in between, I got a little distracted because that sound of kirtan, the bhajans they were singing and the instruments they were playing was coming in my conversation, right? So could you actually have a nice conversation with yourself? Couldn't just talk to myself. Yes. No, wasn't distracted. Okay, very nice. Good. Yes. We had a very nice conversation. Sindhuji writes. No distraction, positive flow. Very nice. Yeah, I was reminding myself to become serious in spiritual life. Nice conversation. Okay. Okay. More. Yes, I could interact with myself. Beautiful flow, no distractions. Very good. Okay. Okay. So now let's. Okay. Could not do. My mind started trying to follow the instruction, but was just warming up with the concerns with myself. Okay. I could not think of any conversation topic. Okay, fine. Right? Maybe practice this. Try having a conversation with yourself and a distraction-free conversation. right? Wherein, when you actually close your eyes, just focus on yourself internally and have a nice, long, lengthy conversation. So usually what happens is either distraction comes, or you just feel like, hey, what am I doing? A sense of apathy comes, like, uh, I'm not interested in this conversation, let me just do it as an exercise, right? Or yeah, as Pallaviji just mentions, when I close my eyes, all my things to do come to my mind. Yeah, exactly, these are distractions keep coming. Or we may be affected by sleep. Our acharyas actually mentioned these three things that happen: distraction, sleep, or apathy. These are three things that come as distractions even in mantra meditation. So you may experience any of these when you actually have a conversation even with yourself. All right. So let's now, this is a good exercise in Madhyama where you actually have a very clear, uh, you know you're trying to recall or personal conversations. This is what we saw in the Madhyama practice. Let's go a little more, one level deeper, where we'll try to do a Vaikari practice. And for this, I would like to first play a music, and I want you to let me see if, yeah, I want you to create a visualization of this music, right? So whatever this music is doing, or whatever it is playing, I want you to just visualize this music and just focus on, try to not look at your screen, because the visuals that are there on the screen can superimpose. So just keep your eyes closed as I'm playing this song. So just focus on what imagery your mind is projecting to you. It could be imagery. Also focus on what feelings your heart is producing, right? Just try to grab that. Sometimes it just comes like a little spike and then goes away, but try to hold on to that imagery, visual, feeling, sensations in your body perhaps, right? Whatever may come, whatever experience you are going through after, while listening to this music, just try to hold on to that, focus on that, and try to absorb in that, right? It could be abstract also. Do not worry. Even if you're not able to express these feelings, do not worry, but just grab on to that. All right. So let me just share my screen, but keep your eyes closed. Don't let the visuals on the screen distract you. Okay. So very quickly, when you heard that initial sound of the flute, I'm sure you went through varieties of experiences and sensations, right? So when the initial flute played, how did you all feel? If you could, I know it's a very long question, but if you want to put it in the chat box. Okay, somebody could actually see GV Temple Hall. Somebody could actually see Hari Prasad Chaurya playing flute. Acha, interesting, right? Initial flute reminder of Krishna, and later on I could visualize Radha and Krishna. Krishna and Yamuna, the river Yamuna. Okay. Somebody could actually visualize the instruments themselves. Could you imagine a lot of Kathak dancers dancing next to a ghat? Somebody, Sindhuji writes, I could imagine myself doing classical steps to it. During the flute, I imagined a person playing it. In the dead of night, seeing Lord Krishna playing the flute. Right. Yeah. Dawn, interestingly, yes, Tabuji. In fact, this was the exact feeling or the visual imagery that even I had. I could actually see the dawn, the sunrise, the same thing. And I could also visualize some birds flying, right? Okay. Somebody said, it's just a very relaxing feeling, no particular visions. Okay, very nice. Yeah. Some past experiences came up. The flute reminded of flowing Ganga in Rishikesh. Also, the scene where His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj was meditating on a stone in Ganges, and the Veena reminded of Radharaman temple. Okay, so suddenly when the Veena started playing, did you feel like there was a change in your internal state? Right. So what was that change you felt? If suddenly, like, to me it was some kind of pathos, some sadness. Suddenly, to me it was like I could recall, because there was birds and sunrise going on. Suddenly I recalled the Valmiki Ramayana beginning, where one bird was shot by an arrow by a hunter. I actually felt something, some very, felt, soulful. I visualized someone dancing, expressing their love in the first part, and the second part there was expressing sadness and loss of love. Yeah, there was some pathos, some sadness in the initial Veena part. Yes. So yeah, yes, even I felt sad, missing something. Right. Good. So you see, this is also sounds. All these experiences that you just had are triggered by sounds, and they are also sounds in our internal space, right? And this is also a very important part of our, so when the thing is, we need to tune ourselves. When the other day when I said, you need to tune your internal senses, right? So this is what we were talking about, where you have to become more sensitive to sound and the sensations and the experiences sounds are creating within us. And this is how we need to, even when we are chanting mantras, we need to focus on this aspect, that how each mantra that I am reciting, what sensation is it creating, right? And what experience is it creating? Let's do one more exercise on Pashyanti. I'm going to uh, read something, and I want you now, as I'm reading that, just visualize the scene, whatever is happening there. So this I'm reading from the first canto, 11th chapter, Lord Krishna entering into Dwaraka. Upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as Dwaraka, the Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival, and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. The white and fat-bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers. The citizens of Dwaraka, having heard that sound, which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is a protector of all devotees. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who, by his own potency, incessantly supplies others their presentations. These presentations were like the offerings of a lamp to the sun, yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards come to their guardian and father. All right. So these are just the first 4 verses that I spoke about. Right now, were you all able to create? Was it too fast? Were you able to create some kind of a visual scene for yourself? Did that narration create some visual experience? Right. Okay. Very nice. I see a lot of yeses. So now, as you carry those visuals in your head, I'm going to share my screen and make you read the text on your own. And now, as you're reading, again, allow yourself to create a visual experience and compare if the visual experience is the same when I read it and when you read it for yourself. All right. Here you go. Please read the text for yourself. Let me quickly adjust. Yeah. Okay, I hope you're done reading. Let me stop the screen share. Okay, so now tell me, did you have a similar visual experience when you read it on your own and when you heard me read, or was there some difference? No, non-different. Okay. In fact, you will see reading scriptures like Bhagavatam are also kind of a meditation. In fact, the reason why in certain sections of Bhagavatam you'll see great elaborate details, Sutta Goswami or Sukadeva Goswami later on, they give such long descriptions because, see, again, like I said yesterday, reading Bhagavatam, reading scriptures is not a left-brained exercise alone. It's actually a very deep meditation. With every verse, such the how the setting was, how the scene was, all these details are given. That's also kind of meditation, right? Yeah, as I'm reading in the chat box, I see here for some people the visualization was better when they read it on their own. Reading speed made it a little less visual, and it felt like I could not catch my speed to visualize. Okay. Tears were welling up but hearing was more clarity of visualization. Okay. I like hearing. All right. Again, it's very individual and personal. Like I said, some people may just like hearing. Some people may just like to read on their own, right? Like personally for me, it has always been very difficult to watch dramas, because when I read Krishna book, when I read Bhagavatam, I create a certain imagery for myself. And when the drama or the external or the whatever, the movie, cartoon, whatever, when they are not matching my visuals, I sometimes find it very difficult to watch those dramas, devotional dramas. So yeah, so somebody felt that while hearing they had very detailed visuals, and while reading on their own it was little scattered. All right. Right, so very nice. So here, this is how you are exercising your vaikari, sorry, your pashyanti layer, right, where that inner, the abstract visualization that was happening if you remember the difference between madhyama and vaikari, in madhyama you are just recalling things, right? So the exercise that we did, or even in the self talk that you did, it was very clear cut communication happening, but it was happening in your own mental space. It was not articulated, it was not verbalized, right? But in the pashyanti layer, you just let your inner space create those visuals or experiences or feelings, and you are meditating on that and trying to latch onto that and absorb in that, right? And again, and like I said, all these are all little trainings that we are the tool sets that we are adding to our repertoire, so that when you actually start listening to the mantra, right, we should be able to use all these skills that we acquired. Of course it takes a lot of practice. What we did today is just a very quick trial, but please cultivate these, do these exercises regularly, so that we can actually practice them, and we will use all of this during our mantra meditation. All right. So what is a right result? There is no one right result. As I said, for someone, the reading could be resonating, could be very deep experience. For somebody, hearing could be thing, right, like that. Okay. So Tabuji, just remind me your question at the end of the class again about we will take it up in Q&A, because that we need a little more explanation to address that. Okay. Right. So then yeah, let's come back to our screen now. Let's come back to our shared screen, and we will talk. So we did a lot of exercises in hearing. So let me just quickly, for the sake of your notes, let me just quickly write down what all exercises we did in hearing exercises. So first, we did ambient noise exercise, ambient sounds, right? If you remember, there in this exercise, we recalled the closest sound, the loudest sound, the distant sound, the high pitch sound, the low pitch sounds, right? We did that. Then we tried to, listen to a kirtan and focus on specific instruments. Focus on specific instruments. We did that exercise. Then we did, body sound meditation. We focused on our body sounds, our breath. We closed our ears, and then we said these are all at the Vaikari level. Then the next level we did for Madhyama level, we try to recall things. Recall kirtan, self-talk, right? We did this exercise. So the reason why I'm writing them is, once you get these notes, please practice it on a daily basis. All these aspects, please try to do that, right? Then for the Pashyanti aspect, we did, we tried to convert music, that flute music and the veena music that we heard, We tried converting music into visuals. And then we did the exercise on book reading and having a very powerful visual experience during that book reading, right? So we did all of these. So next, let's actually come to the real essence of japa meditation, right? Which is the praying aspect, right? So let's write that down here. This is where it all culminates, because as I said, yes, initially our mantra meditation is focused on producing the sound clearly, pronouncing the mantra properly, right? And in fact, another exercise you can also do, we cannot do that now on an online forum, but as you are reciting the mantra, focus on your vocal cords. See how the sound is being produced as you're reciting the mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Or even the invocatory prayers that we recite. So any kind of prayers or verses, shlokas, you can actually start reciting them very loudly and focus on how the sound is being produced from your throat. Or you can also even practice how you are hearing those shlokas. So that's also an exercise you can do as part of your hearing training exercises. But then finally, beyond hearing, it all comes to your heart space, right? And to understand what this heart space is, if you remember yesterday, I gave a simple line diagram of how we interact with this world, how the soul interacts with this world. If you remember, I mentioned how there is a soul, the pure soul, right? And when the soul is influenced by the false ego, ahankara, the pure consciousness of the soul, right? So the consciousness of the soul is, imagine it's like clear light, white light. And if you put a film around it, a red color film around it, immediately that light gets tinged by that red color. So as the consciousness of the soul passes through these different layers, each of these material layers, they leave their color on the pure consciousness. That is how the consciousness gets conditioned by material qualities. So as soon as the pure consciousness of the soul, it passes the layer of false ego, that pure love and bliss, ananda, it suddenly transforms into some kind of a lacuna, some kind of a lacking. And that lacking is expressed in the form of a desire. Because a liberated soul, a pure soul, has no desires. When I use the word desire, I mean worldly desire, materialistic worldly desires. Moment the pure consciousness of the soul goes to the layer of the false ego, that is when it develops a desire. And that desire, when it goes through the layer of intelligence, the intelligence will then tell you, it gives little more specifics. Like, for example, I have a desire. What desire? Ultimately, all desires are trying to make you happy. The deep down, our ultimate goal of all activities is to experience happiness. So what the false ego does is, I have a desire to be happy, but it gives a little identity to it. Happy as for example, as a human. But our false ego says you are a human being. So it gives a little identity to your desire. What the intelligence then does is, it gives little shape to the desire, right? By saying, I have a desire to be happy by eating humanly food, because food makes me happy. Because based on the past samskaras, past impressions, we remember food always gave me great pleasure. So your intelligence will tell you, you want to be happy, eat food, that always makes you happy, right? Then when it goes to the layer of the mind, which has very strong memory power, it will say, hey, you remember what makes you happy? Cakes make you happy. Mind gives even more concrete shape to your desire, right? It is very, very specific. I want cake, right? And when that goes through from the mind, it goes to the body. What does the body do? It gets up, goes to the kitchen, searches all the shelves, finds where is the cake, takes the cake, eats it, and be happy, right? If it is not, then it feels sad if there is no cake in the house, right? But you see how the pure consciousness of the soul, it goes through all these layers, right? And then let me put this other layer also. This is the layer of senses. And what happens there? Action. Action here means eating cake, right? So this is how the pure consciousness is triggering an action to take place. Now, if I want to regulate myself in amidst all these layers, right? How do I do that? If you see, the scriptures talk about various schools of spirituality, schools of yoga. If you try to regulate yourself at the level of the senses, that is called karma yoga. If you try to regulate yourself at the level of the mind, that is called dhyana yoga or ashtanga yoga. If you try to regulate yourself at the level of the intelligence, that is called jnana yoga, right? However, you see, whether you are doing karma yoga or ashtanga yoga or jnana yoga, you may be regulating your senses, your mind, and your intelligence. But the fundamental problem, it begins with the false identity, with that false ego, right? And yeah, right. So that false ego is what that creates our. In fact, it is said, scriptures explain that false ego, the ahankara or the asmita, is the foundation of our material existence. As or another, when it says, what does it mean? If you see all these layers, all this materialistic desires or materialistic worldview comes into existence because the pure consciousness of the soul has been affected by the false ego. So what does that false ego do to us? It creates a false identity that I am the master, I am the enjoyer, I am the controller. All this happiness, I am the center of this universe. It creates that false identity. And in the bhakti school, if you try to start working on at the level of the false ego, that is where bhakti yoga begins, right? And for that, we need to not work on our pranic or senses level, not at the mind level, not even the intelligence level, but we need to work at that heart level. So what is that heart I used all along? Heart is that seat of consciousness. When the soul, when it is emanating its pure consciousness, that concentrated form of that consciousness is the heart. And in the bhakti school, we try to work at that level. And you are going even beyond the influence of the false ego and trying to harness that pure, and what is there in that heart, right? Anandamayo bhyasa, that pure bliss, ananda. And how does that ananda actually come? Ananda is not just happiness. In fact, ananda is a very, very technical term. Ananda, like I often give this example, in this material world, what you experience is called dukkha or shanti. Dukkha means, let me write this down. In this material world, what we mainly experience is called dukkha. Dukkha means misery. And when there is absence of misery, what you at best experience is called shanti or peace, right? Very, very rarely, and I'm emphasizing it again and again, very, very rarely we experience some sukha, which is only a semblance of happiness, right? But Ananda is something very, very deep. This bliss, joy, that unlimited joy, that Anandamayo Bhyasat, that Ananda which the soul experiences is actually very deep. It happens when the soul from the seat of its consciousness, from the heart, it experiences this rasa, right? Unfortunately, there's no English translation of the word rasa. Rasa is especially spiritual rasa or bhakti rasa. Spiritual or bhakti rasa, when it experiences this very powerful exchange with the Lord, that bhakti rasa is alone is what it creates ananda. Nothing of this world can even give you a close semblance of that ananda, right? And for that bhakti rasa to be experienced, it has to be experienced at the seat of your consciousness, that is the heart. And for that, we need to start working on the level of the false ego by, how do I work on the false ego? By redefining your identity, redefining our identity from the master to the servant. Jivere Swarupoe Krishnera Nityadas. The constitutional nature of the living entity, the Jiva, is to be the eternal servant of the Lord. So, but in the material world, we like to think that we are the center of this universe. And this internal change is the beginning of Bhakti Yoga. After all, with Karma Yoga, we experience purification. With Ashtanga Yoga, we experience meditation. With Jnana Yoga, we experience realization. But beyond purification, meditation, and realization is our original constitution. And that is being the servant of the Lord. And this imbibing that mood is what the beginning of praying means. This is our sambandha. Sambandha means my relationship. We have to redefine our relationship with Krishna. Sambandha means relationship. We have to redefine our identity to re-establish our relationship with Krishna. And that is the beginning of our prayer, right? So when we start making this prayer and entering into that heart space, that rasa, maybe if I may give a very, very crude translation of the word rasa, I will use the word taste, ruchi or taste, right? Though it is not the best translation, right? In fact, it is that rasa or the taste, when it is there, that is when we become so absorbed in our mantra meditation, right? The reason the mind does not experience taste, right? And this is something that we really need to work on, because you see, the senses and intelligence, they like to work on routine processes, a mechanical algorithmic process, but the mind is not like that. Mind does not like algorithms. Mind can only hook on something when it experiences a rasa or a taste in that activity. So why is it that the mind does not experience taste? It is very nicely described by acharyas. They talk about 4 fundamental reasons why there is a lack of taste in the mind. Lack of taste in the mind. The first reason is described as tattva vibhrama. Tattva vibhrama. Tattva vibhrama basically means ignorance. Vibhrama means illusion or ignorance, right? Ignorance of the truth. And as we discuss here, the truth here means truth of our own identity to start with. So when we defined that, our real tattva, I am a jiva, I am not Ishvara, I am not the master, I am not the controller, I am not the Lord, I am not the center of the universe. Krishna is the master, Krishna is a controller. Krishna is the proprietor of everything. He is the center of the universe, right? So when we develop that right understanding about ourselves, this is called as sambandha gyan. So the solution to overcome this ignorance of the truth is by developing what is called as sambandha gyan, or knowledge of our relationship, which primarily comes through a philosophical study. In fact, all the Vedic scriptures, all the Vedic philosophy are basically hammering in this one point. What is your real identity? The tattva, that ontological truth about yourself. That is what the scriptures are basically talking about. So this is the one reason. With nice study of philosophy, by attending philosophy classes, reading scriptures like Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, the Bhagavatam, etc., what happens is it removes this ignorance about the truth and brings in a right worldview for you. And that is how we establish a proper sambandha gyan, and that creates a taste in the mind towards our mantra meditation. I specifically remember for many years in my early years of Krishna consciousness, one activity which I would regularly do is, before my morning japa, I would actually read 1 hour of Srila Prabhupada's purports of Srimad Bhagavatam. And I very nicely remember that actually helped me in maintaining focus during my japa, maintaining and also developing some taste in the process of chanting. So reading philosophy, of course 1 hour may not be possible for everyone, but at least, open Bhagavad Gita, read some verse, read some kind of a philosophical truth. Aham sarvasva prabhaho mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvita. I am the master of both the material and the spiritual worlds. One who understands this, they worship me with all their heart. Just read that one verse. And now, with that mood, with the understanding that you're getting with that verse, start chanting. Let that be your meditation during chanting, right? So this tattva vibhrama, ignorance of the truth, is one reason why there's lack of taste. And the second reason, right, is called as asat trishna. Asat means, sat means permanent or eternal. Asat means temporary. Trishna means hankering or thirst. So asat trishna is basically thirst for the temporary, right? So in this world, we are constantly distracted by so many other things, right? And whenever I want to be spiritual, it's easy to be spiritual during those 1 hour or 2 hours of our spiritual activities during during our prayer, morning puja, or the japa, the meditation that we do. But actually, as somebody yesterday also pointed out during the Q&A session, that it is a quality of our 22 hours, how we maintain our consciousness in 22 hours, that defines the quality of our 2 hours during japa. And therefore you cannot compartmentalize your life that, okay, this is the spiritual time of my day and this is the quote unquote material time of my day, right? So that is why in the Bhagavad Gita also Lord Krishna says that tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhevacha mai arpita mano buddhe. So he says tasmat sarveshu kaleshu, all time, mam anusmara, remembering me, O Arjuna, fight. Now what does that mean, remembering me, fight? Is it mean that Arjuna was with one hand, like how sometimes it's not a good practice, but sometimes with a bead bag in one hand, and we are doing all other things, in our life, we're doing our sevas or we're doing our day-to-day activities. Somebody's cooking at home with japa bag in their hand, or somebody's driving with japa in their hand, and you cannot quote this verse saying, oh, look, Krishna told Arjuna to remember him and fight. So I'm also remembering Krishna with japa and I'm also driving my car. That's a very inappropriate, very bad application of philosophy, right? What Krishna is essentially saying is, and this is going to be a very, very important part, because this is, if you understand this deeply, we can spiritualize our entire day. 24 hours you can be spiritual, right? What does it mean? Why am I hankering for the temporary? Once the tattva vibhrama is overcome through right philosophical study, while it gives you a concept, asat trishna can be overcome by applying that concept, by application of our identity as servant of Krishna. What does it mean? Application of identity as servant of Krishna. In every activity that we do, try to identify a spiritual purpose, right? Identify a spiritual purpose in all your activities. Meaning, how can I find a deeper purpose, a higher purpose? Best is to find a direct spiritual purpose in our activities. Simple thing like, you know, I'm cleaning my house every day in the morning. I'm vacuuming my house. Now you may think, oh, it is such an important chore I have to do. It's a very important daily activity I have to do. But while vacuuming your house, you can think, oh, Krishna talks about cleanliness, shaucham. Or maybe if you have a little altar in your house, you can think, oh, I'm actually cleaning the temple of the Lord. So that way, even the cleaning activity, which sometimes be very boring, you can find a deeper spiritual purpose, and that becomes a very powerful meditative activity for you. Or you're going to office and working, right? You may think, oh, why am I working? Or even something so what you ordinarily may identify it as being very materialistic, like earning money, for example, right? You can earn money and with the purpose that, oh, with this money I'm maintaining my family and taking care of my family. Where did that who gave me this responsibility of taking care of this family? Krishna gave me this family, right? My family, friends, whatever, right? Whomever your dependents, whomever you're taking care of, think of it like Krishna has given me the responsibility of taking care of these dependents, and therefore me earning money to facilitate taking care of my family and dependents is an indirect form, or not even indirect, it's actually a direct form of executing Krishna's instruction. Tasvat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddha evacha. For Arjuna, yuddha or war was his duty. In this case, taking care of your family and dependents is your duty. So the point here is that we need to broaden our application of spirituality into the domain of matter. This is the hallmark of the Bhakti philosophy, the Gita philosophy. Especially, the Gita philosophy doesn't compartmentalize the world as matter and spirit. Ontologically speaking, yes, there's a distinction between matter and spirit, right? You can go to a spiritual place and still be materialistic if you have a material purpose. And you can go to a materialistic place and still be spiritual if you have a spiritual purpose. And therefore, aligning your life with the spiritual purpose is such an important part. And when you do that, automatically this hankering that we are having for the temporary, it slowly goes away. The thirst for the temporary, right? Of course, I'm just giving you some principles here. For more details, we discussed this. Some of those of you followed the Bhagavad Gita classes or would like to follow, we have it online in our Govardhan School of Yoga website. You can actually see that. And there we have covered, especially in chapter 3, following your nature or finding a deeper purpose. Because in the fire of spiritual purpose, when you offer your attachment, you experience the result of purification. We discuss some of these concepts, right? Or centering your life around a very strong spiritual purpose, a Krishna-centric purpose, right? These are all the ways you can actually spiritualize your life. So therefore, it's not about how long I am doing my meditation, but rather how long am I allowing the effect of meditation to permeate in the other aspects of my life, right? That is how you overcome this thirst for the temporary. And that is how you will gradually see that you will slowly start becoming aloof from the unnecessary necessities of life. Staying away from matter is not spirituality. Getting attracted to spirit is spirituality. So Prabhupada would always write that attraction to Krishna and detachment from matter, these are two sides of the same coin. So you cannot say I'm detached from matter without being attached to spirit, right? And likewise, you cannot even say I'm attached to spirit without developing detachment from matter. So these things happen. So the point is, when you spiritualize your life with a spiritual purpose, then the thirst for the temporary naturally is overcome. And the third thing why we lack the taste in the mind is called as Hridaya Daurbalyam. Hridaya Daurbalyam. Hridaya means heart. Remember, heart, the seat of your consciousness, where your inner spiritual determination comes from. And Durbala. Bala means strength, and Dur means no strength. So this means weakness of the heart, where you want to be spiritual, you want to do some things, but you are not able to do it because of weakness of the heart, lack of determination, right? And this is a very, very, especially if you are a beginner in spiritual journey, you will face this problem a lot, where your weakness of hearts, because of the whatever past impressions, past temptations, they drag your heart away, right? Now, it is not wrong. There's nothing wrong in being weak, right? It is how you are, right? But what the scriptures therefore entail us is, they guide us is, when we experience this weakness of the heart, it is important to take support. Take support of more mature practitioners, more mature devotees, more mature spiritualists, right? Take support from mature devotees, right? Be in constant association, or be in regular, if not constant, be in regular association or regular company of experienced spiritualists or devotees. Because in their company, what association does? Association has a very strong inductive effect. It induces the determination in their heart, transfers into your heart, and that is how we are able to overcome that weakness of heart, right? So therefore, there's nothing wrong in being weak. Our past conditionings sometimes can be so strong, so you don't have to kick yourself about it. But yes, what you need to be careful of is deceitfulness of the heart, wherein we come in that kind of sangha. Sangha here means that association of like-minded mature devotees. It is, you have to, when again, very important point to how you overcome this weakness of the heart. When I speak about taking support from mature devotees, being regular association of things, a very, very important aspect of this sangha or association is the trust factor. You have to experience trust and care in that company of people, because what trust and care does to you is, it allows you to express your vulnerabilities openly. And until you do not express your vulnerabilities, you will not be able to overcome this weakness of the heart. And therefore, trust and care and that kind of a very nice, loving atmosphere is what essentially Sangha is. So you have to look for that Sangha, or if not, create that Sangha for yourself, wherein you are able to express your vulnerabilities. And that is how you're able. And many times what happens is with many practicing devotees is that because they don't find that kind of a trustworthy environment, instead of expressing your vulnerabilities, we start hiding our defects, hiding our vulnerabilities. And instead of, we end up strengthening this Hridaya Daurbalyam by becoming deceitful. And the deceitfulness of the heart is not a good quality, right? Weakness of the heart, it's okay to be weak, but do not be deceitful. So to overcome that deceitful tendency, experience trust. Allow people to enter into your inner space. Allow allow that space of trust and care, experience and give trust, experience and give that care, so that way, when you develop that kind of a loving bonding with that company of spiritualists, then you will be able to genuinely work on this weakness of the heart. And of course, there is a fourth reason, which is a very, very deep reason, which is called aparadha. Right? Literally, it sounds like Radha or Radharani, the concept of Lord Krishna. So Radha, she's the embodiment of that rasa, of that love, that compassion that Krishna has. So aparadha, literally, one Acharya says, anything that is making Radharani sad, anything that is contrary to Radharani, right? Or in other words, these are basically the spiritual offenses that we commit. Right? So, and this is perhaps the most powerful of all the four reasons why. In fact, sometimes what happens, even after developing taste, if you end up committing spiritual offenses, you don't lose the taste technically, but the taste gets covered temporarily, and suddenly you will feel, I don't feel like meditating today, I don't feel like doing my japa today. This happens because of the nature of that spiritual offenses. So how do I overcome the spiritual offenses? Of course, it's the nature of offenses. These are like, it's a very long, deep topic, but I'll not go into those details. But I'll give you a very, very simple sutra to overcome these offenses. Is we need to develop a very strong reverence towards Krishna and his paraphernalia. Anything connected to Krishna, including his devotees. Right? Developing a strong sense of reverence towards Krishna, his devotees, his paraphernalia, anything that is spiritual in nature, we have to develop a very, very strong reverence. And that is, that is a very powerful way. And this does not happen on its own. This is a very conscious effort that we have to make to develop this kind of reverence. And the previous three will also help you being deep in your philosophical study, developing a spiritual purpose of life, and expressing your vulnerabilities in a trustworthy environment and overcoming the weakness of the heart. This will all help you in developing that kind of strong reverence towards Krishna. And also regularly reading about what these spiritual offenses are. They're very nice books like Harinam Chintamani is one very such powerful book, or so many devotees have written books on the art of chanting. So you can actually pick up one of those books and read about aparadhas and nature of offense, spiritual offenses, and how to overcome them. Especially this book by Harinam Chintamani by Bhaktivinoda Thakur is a very, very powerful book. In fact, that book could be a whole separate seminar in itself. But reading such books on holy name and developing the reverence towards holy name is going to be another very, very important practice, right? So yeah, so these are the the challenges, the reasons why we develop a lack of taste in our mind. So we have done lots and lots of talking, right? So now finally, let's actually, with all this understanding, let's consolidate all this understanding that we have developed, and let's actually chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And while doing so, I want you to, I'm going to play a particular, in the background, I'm going to play a particular mantra recited by Srila Prabhupada. And this particular mantra also has some background nature sounds, just to kind of, especially if you are new to this tradition, new to chanting mantra based, especially the Hare Krishna mantra, this will help you, right? So try to focus on the mantra, but while doing so, if possible at your end, if you can chant the mantra along with Srila Prabhupada, please do that. and then hear the mantra and add a little prayer. Add a prayer about, for example, you can add a prayer that, Krishna, please help me develop a taste towards you. Or Krishna, you are that infinite absolute truth and I am an insignificant servant of yours. So try to bring in that mood of prayer as you are listening to this mantra. All right. So let me play this mantra. All right. And as I'm playing the mantra, if you like, I will project the Maha Mantra on the screen. So you could actually, yeah, there you go. Okay. Like, you can close your eyes, or if you want to keep your eyes open, focus on the Maha Mantra on the screen. So chant, hear, and pray.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
Please continue your meditation and let the mantra reverberate in your mind.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare.
All right. So come back to your external awareness. So I would like to, at this point, maybe in the end, just remember. Okay, let's do this exercise. Now, if anybody would like to share how their experience of this kind of chanting, hearing, and praying, when you try to put it all together, how was the experience? Okay, so Manjuji, would you like to share?
Yes. Yes.
Please.
Prabhuji, pranam, dandavat pranam. Thank
Hare
you
Krishna.
very, very much for this wonderful session. I have not paid, but I will pay. I'm sorry about that. First, I'm saying that a big sorry from my
Right.
side. But
Sure.
Prabhuji, I'm just taken aback. I chant regularly, but the difference I found today when I chanted in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I do it together with a friend of mine who's a dentist in Cuttack.
Mm-hmm.
And she calls me and we try to focus like how you say on the name and hearing it properly
Mm-hmm.
rather than quantity.
Right.
मतलब हम लोग quantity पर नहीं, मतलब we want and we kind of nudge each other. But
Right.
then I told her कि नीतू दीदी सुनो सुनो हमने क्या सुना कल, because I had heard your whole lecture and by God's grace you even sent the recording.
Right.
तो वो जो which she couldn't hear in person, she heard over this thing, but that made us realize so many things,
Right.
mistakes in ourselves. Matlab, I could literally work on my areas.
Is there anything specific area that you found like a tremendous change that really helped you?
Yes. Prabhuji, I used to tend to go to sleep. So when you spoke about posture, so that posture mein aaj jab I sat down and when I realized posture does make a big difference.
Wow. Fantastic. Fantastic. Wow.
So I'm going to work on myself with your recording and
Nice.
stay
Wonderful.
connected with you forevermore.
Wonderful.
That's
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranam,
Dandavat,
Prabhu.
dandavat.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Sindhuji, would you like to like very briefly explain what is the specific experience you had? Any change that you experienced?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Govardhan, Pranam, Prabhu. I hope I'm audible and clear.
Yes, please.
Prabhu, so I had an issue with falling asleep while chanting, and also my mind runs around a lot. So I tried the posture technique which you mentioned yesterday, like having a designated space and 1 minute. Having a designated space and chanting and listening to me chanting.
Right.
So that actually helped. I couldn't control my mind completely, but at least you could say out of 16 rounds, at least 4 of my rounds were proper, that I was listening to what I was saying, and I didn't fall asleep in my 16 rounds of chanting today. So that was a huge bonus for me. And now the recent activity that we did when we were listening to Srila Prabhupada and we were chanting, I think that also helped me right now. So I could, next time when I'm chanting, I could switch on the Srila Prabhupada's chanting machine and chant along with Srila Prabhupada. So I think that could help me with keeping myself to the present.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, right? Okay, let's hear from one last person. Kalpana ji, would you like to share your experience?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat
Haribol,
Pranam.
Haribol, Dandavat.
Yeah. It's almost similar to what the other two Mataji said. I also have a problem of falling asleep.
Oh, I think we lost you here, Kalpana Mataji. Let's see. Oh, can you unmute yourself? Yeah, can you unmute? Yeah, can you speak again? Yeah.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please continue.
Yeah, I also have the same issue as the two Matajis mentioned about falling asleep and my mind running riot. I mean, it runs all over the place and I just can't seem to focus on my chanting.
Right.
But today when I did this chanting with Prabhupada's tape, Prabhupada's voice, I could feel that, you know, that my mind is focusing because I was trying to hear what Prabhupada was saying and trying to sort of match with his mantra. And that's how I found that my mind wasn't getting diverted.
Right.
So that was a real, because I have this very major issue of my mind diverting, and I was so happy that I could focus even for a few mantras at least. I could focus without my mind getting diverted. So I think I should do this, hearing Prabhupada's, chanting along with Prabhupada's tape, mantra tape.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's really great. And the posture and the place that you said, especially the
Right.
posture.
Right.
My
Right.
posture was not so great, and I can't seem to sit down. So,
Mhm.
but still I'm trying.
All right. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, just I would also like to add something in the end, that while we did a lot of exercises today on hearing, we heard a lot of techniques about posture, etc., etc., right? Pronunciation, posture, etc. Ultimately, we have to understand that our taste for holy name is independent of all these activities. Basically, our attempts towards better chanting, our attempts towards improving the quality of our hearing, and whatever sincere prayers that we are able to express, ultimately these are our attempts to attract Krishna's mercy. It's an expression of your sincere intent, basically, by which we can attract Krishna's mercy, and it is only by Krishna's mercy we can get taste for holy name. It is by Guru and Krishna's mercy alone one can get taste for holy name. So just want to clarify this, explicitly, that none of these techniques will ultimately give you taste, but these techniques are like our sincere effort, an expression of our sincerity. So we can look at it that way, and that's why many of you, the common theme that I saw in all three devotees who express their experiences, is that you put in that little extra effort in expressing your sincerity, and you got that reciprocation from Krishna, who gave you that taste in staying awake or finding your right posture, right? So that way, it's understand that we ultimately we are here to cry out for Krishna's mercy, right? So like that. And yeah, I know we are a little over time, and if maybe what we could do is, my number is there on the WhatsApp group that you all are part of. So please post your questions directly to me, and I will either put in a voice note or type them out, right? So please do that, because we are really out of time. Because in the end, I want to conclude by giving giving all of you a small exercise which will really help you in deepening your connection with the holy name, right? And it's not a very complicated exercise. You just have to fill in the blanks in 2 sentences, right? So this is your way to develop your appreciation for holy name. So the first thing that I want you to do is uh, fill in this sentence: holy name is my blank because blank. Meaning, for example, you can put in develop your, because once you are trying to develop that connection with holy name, you are telling holy name that, oh holy name, you are my best friend because I always have your association, I always have your company. Or, oh holy name, you are my guide because in moments of distress you have always given me direction. Fill in that blanks with whatever way you can, right? This is, by this way you are trying to, there could be many things, so as many sentences as you can write, please write it, and put that sheet very carefully, because that is your personal love letter to holy name. So every time you are actually feeling little low in your motivation, in that spiritual taste, you should always look back on the sheet, right? And good if you do it while maybe today, as soon as we end the seminar, if you do that, because strike the iron while it is still hot, right? So do that. And another exercise which I want you to do, this is also another sentence where we are also trying to address certain fears that I have, so fill in this sentence that if I surrender to Krishna, then blank. Express your fear, express your concern. Like for example, if I surrender to Krishna, which means if I'm spiritualizing all my life, if I make that, that if I try to get over my asat trishna by spiritualizing my whole life, by finding a spiritual purpose, then how will I nourish my heart? Right now my heart is nourished with sports and entertainment and Netflix and all these things. So but if I surrender to Krishna, if I make a conscious effort to kind of stay away from all these distractions, then how will my heart be nourished? Maybe some of you may have that fear. So basically express your fears, bring out your inner fears. Why is it that what is it that which is stopping me from fully surrendering to Krishna? If I surrender to Krishna, it means that I have to stop eating onion and garlic. Maybe that could be your fear. Or maybe if I surrender to Krishna, whatever your fears may be, articulate, verbalize your fears, articulate them, bring them out. And and that will help you know yourself better, whatever your inner fears are in this, because these are the things that are disturbing your asat trishna, right? And the first statement will help you to develop or look at or realize your connection with the holy name, with Krishna. The second statement will help you to bring out your fears, your doubts, your concerns in this process of surrendering to Krishna, like that. All right. So this is what I wanted to share with all of you, and I hope that you all find this journey of mantra meditation very, very fruitful. And I sincerely hope and pray that we all collectively together, you can we can proceed in this journey of mantra meditation. These are just the beginning steps, but definitely I hope that if we just follow this one simple fundamental principle of chanting, hearing and praying, if we can take our mantra meditation through this journey of chanting, hearing and praying, we'll become we'll find that kind of an inner awakening happening, and our deep affection towards Krishna will be revived. All right. So thank you all very much for your very, very patient listening and dedicating your weekend in this very important personal journey of mantra meditation. So I'd like to conclude with the closing prayers. Joining your palms together. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunattu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So thank you all very much, and see you in one of our future courses. Hare Krishna.